They locked me in my own basement and expected me to die quietly. But they forgot. I built my life inspecting cracks, and I had just found theirs.
My name is Silas Vance. I'm 68 years old.
And I never thought I'd have to prove my own son was murdered while fighting to stay alive in my own home. The first thing I remember from that day isn't the cold. It's the silence. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that presses against your ears until your thoughts start echoing back at you. I sat on that hard concrete floor, staring at the weak yellow bulb swinging slightly above me, and for a moment, I almost believed them. That I was old. That I was useless. That maybe I really didn't belong upstairs anymore. But then I tasted it again. That faint sweetness on my tongue. And something inside me snapped back into place. I've spent 40 years inspecting bridges, steel, tension, fractures. You learn something doing that kind of work. Nothing collapses without warning. There's always a sign, a crack, a shift, a sound that doesn't belong. And suddenly, every memory I had of the past few months started rearranging itself in my head. Kellen's voice. Tastes sweet, Dad, weird, right? At the time, I laughed it off. Told him it was probably his medication. God, I actually told him that. I pushed myself up slowly, my knees protesting, my back screaming from the cold floor. My eyes scanned the basement again, but this time, I wasn't looking like a victim. I was looking like an investigator. The tarp over the vent. Too tight. Too deliberate. The empty bottles hidden under the floorboard. Not trash. Evidence. The baby monitor. Not convenience. Surveillance. And then the water jug. I walked toward it slowly, like it might explode if I moved too fast. My hand hovered over it before I leaned in, just slightly, and inhaled. Sweet. Artificial. Wrong. I didn't drink again. Upstairs, I could hear movement. Floorboards creaking. Low voices. A laugh. Milo. That low, smug, satisfied laugh. It echoed through the ceiling like a reminder. They thought this was over. They thought I was already gone. I leaned against the wall and pulled out my phone again. My hand didn't shake this time. Garrett, I whispered when he picked up. We're not just dealing with fraud anymore. There was a pause. Then his voice changed. Tell me. They're trying to kill me too. Silence. Not confusion. Not disbelief. Just silence. The kind a man has when something he suspected finally becomes real. I'm coming back, he said. No, I replied immediately. Not yet. Another pause. Silas. They're watching everything, I said quietly, glancing up at the small black monitor hidden in the rafters. If you come back too fast, they'll know something's wrong. What's your plan? I closed my eyes for a second. Then I said the one thing I never thought I'd say in my life. I'm going to let them think it's working. That night was the longest night of my life. I lay on that thin cot pretending to sleep. Every sound felt amplified. Every breath calculated. Around midnight, I heard it. The basement door creaking open. Slow. Careful. Like someone trying not to wake a man they thought was already dying. I didn't move. Didn't breathe differently. Didn't react. Footsteps. Soft. Measured. Then the faint clink of plastic. Liquid pouring. And then nothing. The footsteps retreated. The door closed again. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Only then did I open my eyes. The bulb flickered above me, and I slowly turned my head toward the workbench. The water jug had been moved. Replaced slightly off its original position. I didn't need to check it. I already knew. They had just tried to poison me again. But this time, I was ready. Morning came with a gray light seeping through the small window. And right on time, Quinn appeared again. She slipped down the stairs quietly, her small feet barely making a sound. Her eyes met mine immediately. Pop, did you drink it? I shook my head. Her shoulders dropped in relief. I told them you were sleeping a lot, she whispered. Mommy said that means it's working. I forced a smile. You're doing good, kiddo, I said softly. She nodded, but her eyes, they weren't a child's eyes anymore. They had seen too much. "Pop, are they bad people?" she asked. I didn't answer right away, because the truth would break her. Instead, I reached out and held her hand. "They made bad choices," I said finally. She nodded slowly, then leaned closer. "I saw Mommy and Milo kissing in the garage before Daddy got really sick." The words hit me like a punch, but I kept my face steady. "How long ago?" "Before his birthday, I think." That was it. Timeline confirmed. Motive confirmed. Pattern confirmed. I wasn't guessing anymore. I was building a case. And upstairs, the killers were making a mistake. They thought time was on their side. But they didn't know. The clock had already started ticking. And this time, it wasn't for me. It was for them. The next night, I made my first real move. Not a big one. Not something reckless. Just enough to shift the balance without them noticing. I took one of the empty bottles I had found under the loose floorboard and filled it halfway with the same water from the jug. Then I poured a little onto the concrete near the cot, letting it soak in just enough to leave a faint scent. Then I placed the bottle back, but not exactly where it was before. Slightly out of line. Just enough for someone observant to notice. Because I needed to confirm something. Were they careful or just confident? Upstairs, I heard Lena's voice that evening. Calm. Controlled. Almost cheerful. The kind of voice that used to make guests feel welcome. Now it made my skin crawl. "You should check on him," she said. Milo replied, casual, unconcerned. "He's not going anywhere." A pause. Then Lena again, quieter this time. "Still, just check." Footsteps. The basement door opened. I lay still, eyes barely open, breathing slow and shallow. Milo stepped down, one hand in his pocket, the other holding his phone like he was bored. His eyes swept across the room lazily until they landed on the bottle. And just like that, I saw it. That flicker. That momentary tightening in his expression. He noticed. Good. He walked over, crouched, picked it up, sniffed it. His jaw shifted slightly. Then he looked at me. Longer this time. Studying. Measuring. I let my eyelids twitch, just slightly, like someone drifting in and out of sleep. His lips curled into a faint smile. "Almost there," he muttered. Then he set the bottle back down, exactly where he thought it belonged. But he made one mistake. He adjusted the water jug too. Just a little. Confirming everything. When he left, I didn't move for a full minute. Then slowly I exhaled. They were watching closely. But not closely enough. The next step had to be big. Riskier. Because suspicion had already entered the room. And suspicion spreads. The following morning, Quinn came down again. This time she looked nervous. More than usual. "They were talking about you last night," she whispered. I sat up slowly. "What did they say?" Her small fingers twisted together. "Milo said if it takes too long, they might have to speed it up." A cold weight settled in my chest. There it was. The timeline shrinking. "We don't have much time, kiddo," I said quietly. She nodded, eyes wide. "I want to help," she said. And that nearly broke me. She shouldn't have to. She shouldn't even understand what was happening. But here she was. The only one on my side. "Okay," I said gently. "But you have to listen carefully." She nodded again, serious now. "If anyone asks, you tell them I'm getting weaker, that I barely wake up, that I don't talk." "I can do that," she said quickly. "And one more thing," I added. "I need you to bring me something." Her eyes flickered with fear but also determination. "What?" "A spoon." She blinked. "A spoon." "Yeah," I said. "Metal if you can." She hesitated, then nodded. "I'll try." When she left, I sat there staring at the walls again. Concrete. Old. Hairline cracks running along the corners. Vent system outdated. Weak points everywhere. I didn't need strength. I needed time. And tools. By afternoon, the house grew quiet again. Too quiet. No footsteps. No voices. That was new. That was wrong. I moved closer to the stairs, listening carefully. Nothing. Then a sound. Faint. From above the living room. Voices. But not just Lena and Milo. Another voice. Deeper. Authority in it. Garrett. My heart skipped. He came anyway. I moved closer to the vent, straining to hear. Routine follow-up, Garrett was saying. Lena's voice came sharp. We already spoke about this. I understand, Garrett replied calmly. Just tying loose ends. Milo chimed in. There are no loose ends. A pause. Then Garrett again, softer now. Mind if I take a quick look around? Silence. Heavy. Calculated. Then Lena forced a laugh. Of course not. Footsteps. Closer. Too close. I backed away from the vent, heart pounding. If he came down here now, they'd know. Everything would collapse too early. And I wasn't ready yet. The basement door creaked. Handle turning. I lay down instantly, closing my eyes, slowing my breathing. The door opened halfway. Light spilled in. Footsteps, but slower this time. Measured. Different. Garrett. I could feel it. He stepped down a couple of stairs, then stopped. I kept my breathing shallow. Barely there. Seconds stretched. Then. Everything okay down here, he called out. His tone sounded casual. Too casual. Like he was speaking for someone else's benefit. I didn't respond. Didn't move. Another pause. Then I heard Lena behind him. He's been sleeping most of the day, she said. Doctor said it's normal at his age. Garrett didn't reply immediately. I could feel his eyes on me. Even with mine closed. Then finally. All right, he said. Footsteps retreating. Door closing. But just before it shut completely, there was a faint sound. A soft tap. Twice. On the railing. Tap tap. A signal. My eyes opened slowly after the door clicked shut. And for the first time since all of this started, I felt something shift. Not fear. Not anger. Something sharper. Hope. Because Garrett wasn't just here to observe anymore. He was in. And now. We were both playing the same game. That night, I finally allowed myself to sleep. Not deeply. Not fully. But enough. Because tomorrow, everything was going to change. And upstairs, they still thought I was dying. The next morning didn't feel like morning. It felt like a countdown. I woke before the light reached the basement window, before the house started breathing again. For a few seconds, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum in the walls. Then I heard it. A soft metallic clink near the stairs. I sat up. Slow. Careful. Gwen's small face appeared from the shadows, her finger pressed to her lips. She held something behind her back. I got it, she whispered. She stepped closer and revealed it like it was treasure. A spoon. Plain. Stainless steel. Slightly bent at the neck. To anyone else it would have looked useless. To me it was leverage. You did good, I said quietly, taking it from her. Her eyes scanned the room, nervous. They're going out later, she added. Mom said they need to meet someone. My mind sharpened instantly. When? In the afternoon, after lunch. That was it. That was the window. I nodded slowly. Okay, listen to me carefully now. She leaned closer. When they leave, I need you to make sure the door upstairs stays unlocked. Her eyes widened. I don't know if I can. You don't have to unlock it, I interrupted gently. Just don't let them lock it fully. Sometimes doors look closed, but they're not. She swallowed. Then nodded. I'll try. She hesitated for a moment, then hugged me. Tight. Like she knew something big was coming. Be careful, Pop, she whispered. I closed my eyes for just a second, holding her back. You too, kiddo. When she left, I looked down at the spoon in my hand. Then at the vent. Old screws. Corroded edges. And suddenly, the entire structure of the house started mapping itself in my head. Every weakness. Every shortcut. Every way out. Time moved slowly that day. Painfully slow. I didn't waste it. I started working on the vent immediately. The spoon wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. I wedged the edge into the screw and twisted. Nothing at first. Then a slight shift. Metal scraping against metal. Too loud. I froze. Waited. Listened. No footsteps. No voices. Good. I tried again. This time slower. Controlled. The screw turned. Just a fraction. But it was enough. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then another. Each movement deliberate. Each sound calculated. By the time I heard movement upstairs again, my fingers were aching and 2 screws were loose enough to remove by hand. I stopped immediately and slid back onto the cot, placing the spoon under the thin mattress. Right on time, voices echoed above. Lena. Milo. And someone else. Male. Deeper voice. Unfamiliar. Payment's already been arranged, Milo was saying. My chest tightened. Payment. For both, the man asked. A pause. Then Lena answered. Yes, we don't want any complications. My stomach dropped. Both. They weren't just talking about me. Accidents happen all the time, the man continued. Especially with older structures. My eyes slowly shifted toward the vent. Older structures. That wasn't random. That was a plan. My plan. But twisted. They weren't just trying to poison me anymore. They were preparing a backup. Something structural. Something that could be blamed on the house. Basement would be the easiest, Milo added casually. I stopped breathing. Basement. Weak foundation, outdated support wouldn't take much, the man said. And just like that, everything became crystal clear. They were going to collapse it. Bury me. Make it look like an accident. And walk away clean. Footsteps moved. Doors opened. Closed. Then silence again. I stayed frozen for a long time. Long enough for the reality to settle. Then slowly I sat up. The game had changed again. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was a race. And they had already started running. I went back to the vent immediately. Faster now. No hesitation. The 3rd screw came loose. Then the 4th. My hands trembled as I pulled the cover free just enough to peer inside. Dark. Narrow. Dust thick enough to choke on. But it was a path. And right now, that was all I needed. By the time the front door upstairs slammed shut that afternoon, I was ready. I waited 10 full minutes. Just in case. Then I moved. Fast. I pulled the vent cover off completely and slid it aside. The opening barely looked wide enough. But I'd worked tighter spaces before. I lay flat on my stomach and pushed my arms through first. The metal edges scraped against my sleeves. Then my shoulders. Tight. Too tight. For a second, panic surged. What if I got stuck? What if this was how it ended? Half inside a vent, alone. I forced the thought down. Exhaled fully. And pushed. Pain shot through my chest as I squeezed through. Then suddenly, I was in. I pulled the cover back loosely behind me. Not perfect, but enough to delay suspicion. Then I started crawling. Every inch was slow. Claustrophobic. Dust filling my lungs. But I kept moving. Counting turns. Estimating direction. Mapping everything. Up ahead, a faint glow. A second vent. I reached it and carefully peered through. Kitchen. Empty. I listened. Nothing. Slowly, I pushed the cover outward. It fell with a soft thud onto the floor. Too loud. I froze. Waited. Still nothing. Then I dropped down. My knees buckled slightly as I landed. Standing in my own house felt foreign. Wrong. Like I didn't belong there anymore. But I didn't have time for that. I moved quickly. Straight to the study. The safe. Still open. Still empty. But now I knew what I was looking for. Not papers. Evidence. I checked drawers. Cabinets. Then the desk. Bottom drawer. Locked. I grabbed a paperweight and struck the lock. Once. Twice. It snapped. Inside. A folder. Thick. Messy. Rushed. I flipped it open. Bank transfers. Property documents. Insurance papers. And then. A report. Medical. Kellen's name at the top. My hands tightened as I read. Unusual toxin levels. Not conclusive. But flagged. Not investigated. My vision blurred for a second. They had missed it. Or ignored it. Either way. This was proof. I shoved the folder under my jacket. Then froze. A sound. Outside. A car door. Voices. Too soon. They were back. My heart slammed against my ribs. No time. No vent. No hiding place. Footsteps approaching the front door. Keys. Lena's voice. "They shouldn't be back yet," Milo muttered. The door opened. I stood in the middle of the room. With everything in my hands. And nowhere left to run. For a split second, I didn't move. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because every possible move had consequences and I had exactly one chance to choose the right one. The front door creaked open. Lena stepped in first. Her heels clicked against the floor, sharp, controlled, familiar. Milo followed right behind her. They weren't expecting anything. Not yet. That gave me seconds. I moved. Not toward the stairs. Not toward the basement. I moved deeper into the house. Silent. Fast. The hallway to the guest bedroom, half-closed door, shadows inside. I slipped in just as Lena's voice echoed from the living room. "You forgot your phone." "I didn't forget it," Milo replied. "I left it." I froze inside the dark room, barely breathing. Left it. That wasn't carelessness. That was calculation. Something felt off, he added. Of course it did. I'd pushed too far. The bottle. The vent. The shift. He'd felt it. I crouched near the wall, eyes scanning. Closet. Bed. Window. Too risky. Footsteps moved closer. "Check downstairs," Lena said quietly. "I will," Milo replied. My chest tightened. If he went down there now. The vent. The missing screws. The shifted cover. Everything would collapse. And I'd be trapped up here with them. I had to buy time. Now. I slid my hand into my pocket and pulled out my phone. One shot. I opened the audio recorder and hit record. Then, without overthinking it, I threw the phone across the hallway. It hit the wall outside with a sharp crack. Silence. Then. What was that? Lena snapped. Footsteps fast now. Away from the basement. Toward the sound. I slipped out of the guest room immediately and moved in the opposite direction. Kitchen. Then the side door. Locked. Damn it. I turned. And saw Quinn. Standing at the end of the hallway. Frozen. Eyes wide. She looked from me to the living room, then back. Everything passed between us in that one moment. Fear. Understanding. Decision. She didn't speak. Didn't hesitate. She ran toward the front door and yanked it open hard. "Mom," she shouted. "Someone's outside." Perfect. Lena rushed toward her. "Quinn, get back." That was my opening. I bolted. Straight past them. Lena's eyes met mine for half a second. And I'll never forget that look. Not shock. Not confusion. Recognition. Like she had always known this moment would come. "Milo," she screamed. But I was already out the door. Cold air hit my face as I ran down the driveway. My legs screamed. My lungs burned. But I didn't stop. Behind me, footsteps. Closer than I wanted. I cut across the yard instead of heading to the street. Unpredictable. Messy. Harder to chase. "Stop," Milo shouted. I didn't. I reached the side fence, grabbed the top, and hauled myself. Pain shot through my shoulder, but I pushed through it. Dropped hard on the other side. Kept running. Another yard. Another fence. Voices fading slightly now. Good. But not enough. I needed distance. I needed cover. I needed a car engine. Ahead. I burst through the side gate and nearly stumbled into the street. And there it was. A familiar sedan pulling up fast. Driver's door swung open before the car even fully stopped. Garrett. Get in, he shouted. I didn't hesitate. I dove into the passenger seat and slammed the door. Garrett hit the gas immediately. Tires screeched as we pulled away. I turned, looking back. Lena stood at the edge of the driveway. Still. Watching. Not chasing. Not panicking. Just watching. And then slowly. She smiled. That was worse than anything else. She's not worried, I said, breathing hard. Garrett glanced at me. Why would she be? I pulled the folder out from under my jacket and dropped it onto the dashboard. Because she thinks she already won. Garrett's eyes flicked to the papers. Then back to the road. Tell me everything, he said. And I did. Every detail. The water. The basement. The plan to collapse it. Quinn. Milo. The man they met. Everything. By the time I finished, the car was silent except for the engine. Garrett's jaw tightened. This is bigger than I thought, he said quietly. I nodded. They killed him, I said. My son, they killed him. Garrett didn't argue. Didn't soften it. He just said, yeah. We drove for another 10 minutes before he pulled into a quiet parking lot. Empty. Safe. For now. He turned off the engine and looked at me. What you have here, it's strong, he said, tapping the folder. But it's not enough to bring them down completely. My stomach sank. What else do we need? Intent, he said. Direct proof, something that shows they planned it, not just benefited from it. I thought about the conversation I'd heard. The man. The payment. They hired someone, I said. To collapse the basement. Garrett nodded slowly. That's what we need. I leaned back in the seat, exhaustion hitting me all at once. They'll destroy everything now, I muttered. They know I'm not dead, they know I got out. Garrett shook his head. No, he said. They'll accelerate. I looked at him. What? They won't clean up, he continued. Not yet. People like them, when they feel control slipping, they don't retreat. They double down. A cold realization settled. They're going to try again, I said. Garrett nodded. But this time, he added, we'll be ready. I stared out the windshield, my reflection faint in the glass. For the first time in days, I wasn't trapped. But this wasn't over. Not even close. Because somewhere in that house, a little girl was still inside. And two people who thought they were untouchable had just made their biggest mistake. They let me live. I didn't tell Garrett to turn the car around right away. But the thought was already there, sitting heavy in my chest like a weight I couldn't ignore. Quinn. Every second we drove farther away, she was still in that house. With them. Garrett must have seen it on my face. You're thinking about going back, he said. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. He exhaled slowly, gripping the steering wheel tighter. That's exactly what they want. No, I said quietly. What they want is control, and right now they think they still have it. Garrett shook his head. Silas, listen to me, you're out, you're alive, that's how we win this, not by running back into a trap. I turned toward him. She's not part of the trap, I said. She's the reason I walked out of it. Silence filled the car again. Heavy. Complicated. Garrett looked away first. We do this smart, he said finally. Not emotional. I'm not being emotional, I replied. But even as I said it, I knew that wasn't completely true. Because this wasn't just about justice anymore. It was personal. It had always been personal. Garrett restarted the engine. Then we start with the contractor, he said. The one they met today. I nodded slowly. Find him and everything unravels. Garrett pulled out of the lot and drove. This time not away. But forward. Into it. We tracked the meeting location first. A small industrial strip about 15 minutes from the house. Half the units were empty. The rest looked like they hadn't been inspected in years. Perfect place for quiet deals. Garrett parked across the street. "Stay here," he said. I almost laughed. "That hasn't worked out well so far." He gave me a look. 5 minutes. I watched him step out, adjusting his jacket, his posture shifting into something official. Controlled. Confident. The kind of presence that made people talk or slip. I sat there gripping the folder on my lap, my mind racing. Pieces connecting. Kellen's voice. The sweetness. The headaches he mentioned once brushed off as stress. I should have seen it. I should have. A sharp knock on the window snapped me back. I flinched. Then looked up. Garrett. Already back. Too fast. I opened the door. "What happened?" "Office is empty," he said. "But not clean empty, rushed." My stomach dropped. "They're moving." He nodded. "And we're behind." I ran a hand over my face. "Then we stop reacting," I said. "We force them to react to us." Garrett studied me. "How?" I hesitated. Then said it. "We go public." His expression tightened instantly. "That's risky." "So is waiting," I shot back. "Right now they're operating in the dark, quiet, controlled. If we drag this into the light, they lose control," he finished. "Exactly." Garrett paced a step, thinking. "Media?" he asked. "Police first," I said. "But not just a report. We bring everything, the documents, the recordings, the basement, the poisoning." "And Quinn?" he asked. That hit harder. I swallowed. "We make sure she's protected before anything breaks." Garrett nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "Then we do it right." We drove straight to the station. Not the local one. A different precinct. Less chance of quiet influence. Inside, everything felt too normal. Phones ringing. People talking. Paperwork moving. Like the world hadn't shifted at all. Garrett led the way, flashing his badge, pulling in someone he trusted. Detective Harris. Mid-50s. Sharp eyes. Didn't smile. Didn't waste time. We laid everything out. The documents. The timeline. The poisoning. The contractor. The plan to collapse the basement. And then the recording. The one from the night before. Muffled voices. But clear enough. Basement would be the easiest. Harris didn't react immediately. He just listened. Then replayed it. Then leaned back in his chair. "If this is real," he said slowly, "this isn't just attempted murder. It's conspiracy," Garrett added. Harris nodded once. "And your granddaughter?" "At the house," I said. "With them." That was the turning point. I saw it in his face. Procedure shifted to urgency. "We move now," he said, standing up. Everything started happening fast after that. Officers moving. Radios crackling. Plans forming. Garrett turned to me. "You stay here." I shook my head instantly. "No. Silas. I'm not sitting in a chair while they're still breathing free air in my house." He hesitated. Then looked at Harris. Harris studied me for a second, then nodded once. "Stay behind us," he said. "And you listen when we say stop." That was the deal. And I took it. The drive back felt shorter. Tighter. Every second heavier than the last. When we turned onto my street, my chest locked. Police cars rolled in silently. No sirens. No warning. Controlled. Precise. The house looked the same. Quiet. Still. Like nothing inside it had changed. But I knew better. We all did. Harris signaled. Officers moved. Front. Back. Sides. Complete. Then. Police opened the door. Silence. A beat. 2. Then movement inside. Fast. Wrong kind of fast. "They're running," Garrett muttered. "Go." Harris snapped. The door was forced open. We moved in. Adrenaline drowned everything else. Voices. Shouting. Footsteps. I saw Lena first. At the end of the hallway. Not panicking. Not confused. Just calculating. Always calculating. "Where's Quinn?" I shouted. Her eyes flicked to me. And for the first time, there it was. Crack. She's upstairs, she said. Too fast. Too easy. Harris signaled 2 officers up. Milo tried to move. 1 step toward the back door. Didn't make it. They took him down hard. He didn't fight long. Because he knew. It was, or at least it should have been. I didn't wait. I ran upstairs, ignoring Garrett calling behind me. Each step felt heavier. Closer. Until I reached her room. Door closed. I pushed it open. And there she was. Sitting on the bed. Clutching her stuffed toy. Eyes red. But alive. Pop. That was all she said before I crossed the room and pulled her into my arms. She held onto me like she never wanted to let go. And for the first time since this all started, I allowed myself to breathe. Really breathe. It's okay, I whispered. It's over. But even as I said it, downstairs, I heard Lena's voice again. Calm. Controlled. You don't have enough, she said. And something in the way she said it told me this wasn't the end. Not yet. I felt it the moment she said those words. Not fear. Not panic. Something colder. Because Lena wasn't bluffing. People like her don't bluff when they're cornered. They reveal. I slowly let Quinn go, keeping one arm around her shoulders as I stood up. It's not over, is it? She whispered. I looked down at her. No, I said honestly. But it's not their game anymore. Garrett appeared at the doorway, breathing a little heavier than usual. They've got Milo in cuffs, he said. Lena's still talking. Of course she is, I muttered. I turned back to Quinn. Stay with the officer outside, okay? Don't leave this room unless I come get you. She nodded, tighter this time. Stronger. Braver than any child should have to be. I stepped out into the hallway and closed the door gently behind me. Then I went downstairs. Slow. Deliberate. Every step felt like walking into the final layer of something that had been building long before I ever noticed the first crack. Lena stood in the center of the living room. Hands free. Posture perfect. Like she was hosting a dinner party, not standing in the middle of a criminal investigation. Detective Harris faced her, expression carved from stone. You're making a mistake, Lena was saying. You're rushing. No, Harris replied calmly. We're catching up. Her eyes flicked to me as I stepped into the room. There it was again. That look. Recognition mixed with something new. Not fear. Respect. You made it out, she said softly. I did, I replied. A faint smile touched her lips. I underestimated you. No, I said. You underestimated how much I loved my son. That landed. I saw it. A flick. Quick. Gone just as fast. Harris stepped forward slightly. We have recordings, documents, enough to charge both of you with conspiracy and attempted murder. Lena didn't even look at him. Her eyes stayed on me. You think this is about the basement? She asked. My stomach tightened. What does that mean? Garrett snapped. Lena finally turned toward him. That was just cleanup, she said. The room shifted. Not physically. But something inside it moved. You're too late, she continued almost casually. You've been too late from the beginning. I stepped forward. What did you do? She tilted her head slightly, studying me. You really don't know, do you? My chest tightened. Say it. She smiled. And this time it wasn't controlled. It was sharp. You think your son's death was the first step, she said. It wasn't. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. It was the second. Something inside me cracked. What was the first? I asked, my voice barely holding steady. Her eyes softened just a little. Not with kindness. With satisfaction. You signed it yourself, she said. My mind stalled. Signed what? Garrett stepped closer. Enough games, you're done here. But Lena ignored him. Still looking at me. 3 years ago, she said quietly. Refinancing, you remember that? I did. Of course I did. The paperwork. The late night signing. Helping Kellen stabilize things. Those documents, she continued, weren't just for the house. My heartbeat slowed, each word landing heavier than the last. They were for everything, she said. Garrett frowned. What are you talking about? Lena finally looked at him. Ownership, she said simply. My vision blurred for a second. No, I said immediately. That's not possible. But even as I said it, pieces started shifting. The rush signatures, the clauses I skimmed, the trust I placed in my son. In her. You transferred control, she said softly. All of it, property, accounts, access. Garrett grabbed the folder from the table and flipped through it fast. Silas, he said, slower now. No, I repeated. No, that wasn't. It was, Lena cut in. You just didn't read it closely enough. The room felt smaller, like the walls were pressing in. You planned this, I said. Of course I did, she replied. You don't build something like this overnight. Harris stepped forward again. That doesn't change the charges. Lena shrugged lightly. It changes everything, she said. Because legally this house isn't his. Silence. Then, a quiet, devastating realization settled in. She wasn't just talking about what she had done. She was talking about what she had already secured. You tried to erase me, I said. She smiled faintly. I succeeded. Before I could respond, an officer rushed in from the back. Detective. Harris turned. What is it? We found something in the garage. The tone. Urgent. Wrong. Show me, Harris said immediately. We all moved. Garage door creaked open. The smell hit first. Gasoline. Strong. Fresh. And then I saw it. The support beam near the corner. Cut. Not broken. Cut. Clean. Deliberate. My breath caught. They were going to bring it down today, Garrett said under his breath. Or tonight, Harris added. Lena stepped into the doorway behind us. Calm. Unbothered. You're still in it, she said softly. We turned toward her. What? Garrett snapped. She gestured lightly around us. The house, she said. And then it clicked. All at once. The plan. Not just the basement. Not just me. Everything. Everyone out. Harris shouted instantly. Officers moved. Fast. Urgent. I didn't think. I ran. Back through the house. Up the stairs. 2 at a time. Quinn. I shouted. Garrett right behind me. We reached her room. She stood there, confused, scared. What's happening? No time. I grabbed her. Held her tight. And ran. The house groaned. Low. Deep. Like something waking up beneath it. We hit the stairs. A loud crack echoed. Wood splitting. Structure shifting. Move. Garrett shouted. We burst through the front door just as a deafening sound ripped through the air behind us. The ground shook. Dust exploded outward. And the house, my house, collapsed in on itself. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to bury what was left of their plan. We stumbled onto the coughing, breathing, alive. Quinn clung to me, shaking. Garrett steadied himself beside us. Sirens filled the distance now. Loud. Real. Final. I looked back at the wreckage. Years of my life gone. But something else was gone too. Their control. Their certainty. Their perfect plan. Because buried under that house was more than just wood and concrete. It was evidence. It was intent. It was the truth they couldn't hide anymore. Behind us, officers pulled Lena and Milo away. This time, no smiles. No control. Just silence. And as I held Quinn tighter, I realized something. They didn't lose because they made a mistake. They lost because they thought I wouldn't fight back. And that was the one thing. They should have known better than anyone. The dust didn't settle right away. It hung in the air like a curtain between what had just happened and what it meant. Sirens grew louder. Neighbors started gathering at a distance, their voices low, confused, curious. Flashing lights painted everything in red and blue, cutting through the gray clouds still rising from what used to be my home. I didn't move. Not at first. Quinn's arms were still wrapped around my neck, her face buried against my shoulder. I could feel her heartbeat, fast, uneven, but steady. Alive. That was the only thing that mattered in that moment. "Pop," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Is it really over now?" I looked at the wreckage again. Then at Lena, standing near the police car, her hands finally cuffed behind her back. For the first time since I met her, she looked small. Not powerless, but contained. And that made all the difference. "It's over for them," I said quietly. "Not for us." Garrett stepped closer, brushing dust off his jacket, his eyes still scanning the scene like he expected something else to go wrong. "They're going to lock this down," he said. "Forensics, structural analysis, everything. That collapse just turned this into something bigger." "Good," I replied. Because I wanted it bigger. I wanted everything exposed. No quiet deals. No buried reports. No missed toxins. Nothing hidden. Harris walked toward us, his expression tighter now, more focused than before. "They're both in custody," he said. "No statements yet, but that won't last." I nodded. "They won't stay quiet," I said. "Not people like them." Harris glanced back at the ruins. "Between the recordings, the financials, and this," he paused, letting the weight of it settle, "they're not walking away from this." Quinn shifted slightly in my arms, finally pulling her face away. Her eyes were red but clearer now. "Where are we going to go?" she asked. That question hit harder than anything else so far. Because for the first time, I didn't have an answer ready. The house was gone. Everything inside it, memories, photos, pieces of a life I had built with my son, buried under splintered wood and concrete dust. But then Garrett spoke. "You're not going back there anyway," he said. "And you're not alone." I looked at him. He nodded once. "We'll figure it out." Simple words. But solid. Like something I could stand on. For the first time in days, I allowed myself to believe that. Hours passed in a blur after that. Statements. Questions. Paramedics insisting on checking us both. Quinn stayed close the entire time, never letting go of my hand for more than a few seconds. Lena and Milo were taken away separately. I watched as they put her into the car. Just before the door closed, her eyes found mine one last time. There was no anger there. No, just calculation fading into something else. Something unfinished. Then the door shut. And she was gone. That should have felt like the end. But it didn't. Because deep down, I knew people like her don't just disappear. They leave trails. And sometimes those trails lead further than you expect. 2 days later, I was sitting in a small, quiet room at the precinct. Quinn was in the next room with a counselor, talking softly, her voice occasionally drifting through the thin wall. Garrett sat across from me, a fresh set of documents spread out on the table. "Here's where it stands," he said. "They've officially charged both of them. Conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, fraud, and a few others were still building." I nodded slowly. "And Kellen?" I asked. Garrett's expression shifted. "That's being reopened," he said. "Toxicology reports are being re-examined. With what we found, it's not a closed case anymore." A long breath left my chest. Finally. Finally. He deserved that. "Silas," Garrett added, leaning forward slightly. "There's something else." I looked up. "What?" He slid one paper across the table. Legal documentation. Highlighted sections. Transfers. Ownership structures. Exactly what Lena had said. My hands tightened slightly. "She wasn't lying," I said. "No," Garrett confirmed. "But that doesn't mean it's permanent." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "It means," he said carefully, "if we prove fraud, coercion, and criminal intent, everything she took can be reversed." The words didn't hit all at once. They settled slowly. Like light breaking through something heavy. "You're saying..." I started. "I'm saying," Garrett interrupted, "this isn't just about putting them away, it's about taking everything back." I looked down at the paper again. Then shook my head slightly. "Honestly," I said quietly, "I don't care about the house. Garrett didn't respond immediately. Good, he said finally. Because what matters more is already sitting in the next room. I glanced toward the door. Quinn. Yea. He was right. Everything else could be rebuilt. Weeks passed. Then months. The case grew. Bigger than any of us expected. The contractor was found. He talked. Not out of loyalty, but out of fear. Payments traced. Plans uncovered. Everything connected. Piece by piece, the truth came out. And when it did, it wasn't quiet. It wasn't subtle. It was loud. Public. Impossible to ignore. Kellen's case was officially ruled a homicide. The toxin confirmed. The timeline matched. The intent proven. I sat in that courtroom the day it was announced, Quinn's hand in mine, listening as the truth I had fought for finally became real. Not just in my head. Not just in my memory. But in the world. Where it mattered. Lena didn't look at me that day. Not once. Milo did. But only briefly. And then he looked away. Because there was nothing left for them to control. Nothing left to manipulate. Nothing left to win. When it was over, truly over, I stepped outside the courthouse and felt the sun on my face. Warm. Steady. Real. Quinn stood beside me, quieter than usual but lighter somehow. Pop, she said softly. Yea. She looked up at me. What happens now? I thought about that for a second. About everything we lost. Everything we survived. Everything that changed. Then I smiled. We build something better, I said. She nodded. And for the first time since all of this began, there was no fear in her eyes. Just possibility. And as we walked forward together, I realized something simple. They tried to erase me. They tried to bury the truth. They tried to take everything. But in the end, they didn't just fail. They made sure. I would never stop fighting for what matters. And that was something they could never take away. The silence after everything ended was louder than the chaos that came before it. No sirens. No footsteps. No whispers behind closed doors. Just space. And for a while, I didn't know what to do with it. Quinn and I moved into a small rental on the edge of town. Nothing special. 2 bedrooms, thin walls, a kitchen that echoed when you spoke too loud. But it was safe. And after everything, safe felt like luxury. The first night there, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my body still wired like something might break through the door at any second. It didn't. But that didn't stop my mind from running. Every detail. Every moment. Every sign I missed. Kellen's laugh. That strange comment about the water. The way Lena used to watch people when she thought no one noticed. I turned onto my side and looked toward the hallway. A faint light glowed from under Quinn's door. She couldn't sleep either. I got up slowly and walked over, knocking gently. It's open, she said. I pushed the door. She was sitting on the bed, knees pulled to her chest, her stuffed toy in her lap. You okay? I asked. She shrugged. I keep thinking about the house, she said. Like, what if it didn't fall, would we still be there? I leaned against the doorframe for a moment, thinking about that. Yeah, I said honestly. We probably would. She nodded slowly. Then looked up at me. And that would be bad, right? I walked over and sat beside her. Yeah, I said again. It would have been. She was quiet for a second. Then she asked something I wasn't ready for. Did Mommy ever love us? The question hit deeper than anything else had. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because she deserved one that wouldn't break her. I exhaled slowly. I think. I started carefully. She loved control more than anything else. Quinn frowned slightly. That's not love, is it? No, I said softly. It's not. She nodded. And somehow that was enough for her. Kids don't always need perfect answers. They need honest ones. She lay back down, pulling the blanket up. Will we be okay? She asked quietly. I reached over and turned off the lamp. Yeah, I said. We will. And for the first time since all of this started, I believed it without hesitation. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into something that almost felt like routine. School for Quinn. Paperwork for me. Meetings. Calls. Follow-ups on the case. Life didn't go back to normal. It built something new. Something quieter. Stronger. But the past didn't disappear. It showed up in small ways. A hesitation before drinking water. A second glance at locked doors. The way Quinn would sometimes pause mid-sentence, like she was listening for something that wasn't there anymore. Healing isn't loud. It's slow. Messy. Unpredictable. But it happens. One step at a time. A few months later, Garrett showed up at the apartment unannounced. He knocked twice. Same rhythm as before. I opened the door. "You always do that?" I asked. He smirked slightly. "Only when it matters." He stepped inside holding a folder. I raised an eyebrow. "More paperwork." "Better," he said. I closed the door behind him. "What is it?" He handed me the folder. I opened it. And for a second, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then it clicked. Reversal of ownership. Restoration of assets. Legal confirmation. Everything Lena had taken was gone. "Silas," Garrett said, watching my reaction. "It's all back." I looked up at him. "You're serious?" He nodded. Every piece they touched undone. I stared at the papers again. The house. The accounts. The property. All of it. Back. But instead of relief, something else settled. Something quieter. "I don't want it," I said. Garrett blinked. "What?" "I don't want the house," I repeated. "Not like that, not after everything." He studied me for a moment. Then nodded slowly. "Fair enough." I closed the folder. "But," I added, "I do want one thing." "What's that?" I looked toward Quinn's room. She was laughing at something on her tablet. A normal sound. A good sound. "A fresh start," I said. Garrett smiled slightly. "Then that's what you take." We didn't rebuild the old house. We didn't even visit the lot again. Some places don't need to be revisited to be understood. Instead, we found something new. A smaller place. Closer to the school. More light. More space to breathe. Quinn picked her room first. Of course she did. Painted one wall herself, uneven, messy, perfect. And slowly life filled in the gaps. New routines. New memories. New moments that didn't carry the weight of what came before. One evening, months later, I was sitting on the porch watching the sunset. Quiet. Still. Quinn came out and sat beside me. No words at first. Just presence. Then she leaned her head against my arm. "Pop." "Yay." She pointed at the sky. "It looks different here." I smiled slightly. "Yeah," I said. "It does." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something simple. "I like this one better." I looked out at the horizon again. At the colors shifting slowly. At the calm that didn't feel temporary anymore. "Me too," I said. And in that moment, there were no shadows left chasing us. No voices behind walls. No plans waiting in the dark. Just a future. Uncertain. Unwritten. But ours. And that was enough. For a long time, I thought the hardest part was surviving. It wasn't. Surviving is instinct. Your body takes over. Your mind narrows. You move, react, endure. The hardest part comes after. When everything slows down. When there's no immediate danger left to fight. When you're finally forced to sit with what happened and what it changed. That's where the real weight lies. It showed up in small ways at first. I double-checked the locks before bed. Then checked them again 5 minutes later. I stopped drinking anything unless I opened it myself. Even then, I'd pause. Just for a second. That second said everything. Trust doesn't come back all at once. It rebuilds piece by piece. Quinn had her own version of it. She didn't like closed doors anymore. Not completely. She'd leave them slightly open, just enough to see the hallway light. And sometimes late at night I'd hear her footsteps. Soft. Careful. She'd walk into the living room, sit on the couch, and just be there. Not scared. Just making sure the quiet was still safe. I never told her I noticed. I'd just sit up in my room and listen until her footsteps went back. That was enough. We didn't rush anything. Didn't pretend we were fine. We let it take time. Because time was the only thing that didn't lie. About 6 months after everything ended, Garrett called. Court's final phase is coming up, he said. Sentencing. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Do I need to be there? A pause. That depends, he said. You want to be? I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to stay away. To leave it in the past. To let it end without reopening anything. But another part. The part that had crawled through a vent, that had listened, endured, fought. That part needed to see it through. Yeah, I said finally. I'll be there. The courtroom felt different this time. Not tense. Not uncertain. Final. Like everything had already been decided, and we were just there to watch it close. Quinn didn't come. I didn't want her to. Some chapters don't need to be witnessed twice. Lena stood at the front again. But she wasn't the same. The control was gone. The precision in her posture gone. She still held herself together. But it wasn't power anymore. It was habit. Milo looked worse. Tired. Worn down. Like he had finally realized there was no version of this where he walked away. The judge spoke. Words filled the room. Charges. Evidence. Impact. I didn't hear all of it. Not because I wasn't listening. But because I didn't need to anymore. I had already lived the truth. The verdict came. Guilty. On everything. The sentence followed. Long. Final. Unavoidable. And just like that, it was done. No twists. No last-minute turns. No control left in their hands. Lena looked at me once. Only once. And this time there was nothing behind her eyes. No calculation. No strategy. Just emptiness. That was the real end. Not the collapse of the house. Not the arrest. This. The moment where there was nothing left for her to manipulate. I didn't feel victory. I didn't feel relief. I just felt quiet. The kind that settles after a storm has completely passed. When I stepped outside, the air felt different. Not lighter. Just honest. Garrett walked out beside me. That's it, he said. I nodded. Yay. He studied me for a moment. You okay? I thought about it. About everything. The loss. The fight. The rebuilding. Then I gave the only answer that felt real. I'm getting there. He smiled slightly. That's enough. Life didn't suddenly become perfect after that. There were still hard days. Still moments where memories came back sharper than I expected. Still nights where sleep didn't come easy. But those moments didn't control everything anymore. They passed. And when they passed, something else filled the space. Peace. Real peace. Not the fragile kind. The earned kind. A year later, Quinn and I went back to the old street. Not to the house. There wasn't one anymore. The lot had been cleared. Flat. Empty. Quiet. Grass starting to grow where everything had once stood. She held my hand as we stood there. Does it feel weird? She asked. I looked at the space. At the absence of something that once held so much weight. Not weird, I said. Just finished. She nodded. Then squeezed my hand. Can we go home now? Home. Not that place. Not that past. Something new. Something ours. I smiled. Yeah, I said. Let's go home. And as we walked away, I didn't look back. Because I didn't need to anymore. Some stories don't end when the truth comes out. They end when you stop carrying what tried to break you. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying it anymore. I was walking forward. Free. For a while, I thought that was the end of it. Not the kind of ending you see in movies. No music swelling. No perfect closure. Just a quiet understanding that the worst had passed and whatever came next was ours to build. And for a time, it really felt that way. Life settled. Quinn laughed more. I slept better. The small things stopped feeling fragile and started feeling real again. But the truth about something like this, it doesn't disappear. It changes shape. It waits. And sometimes it comes back in ways you don't expect. It started with a letter. No return address. No official stamp. Just my name written across the front in handwriting I didn't recognize. I almost threw it away. Almost. But something about it felt intentional. Like it wasn't random. Like it found me. I opened it at the kitchen table while Quinn was at school. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Folded once. No greeting. No explanation. Just one line written in the center. You missed one. I stared at it for a long time. Long enough for the room to start feeling smaller again. Not fear. Not exactly. But something close. Something unfinished. I read it again. Same words. Same weight. You missed one. A slow breath left my chest. And just like that, every instinct I had worked so hard to quiet came back. Not panic. Focus. I folded the paper carefully and slid it back into the envelope. Then I picked up my phone. Garrett answered on the second ring. You ever get that feeling, I said, like something isn't done yet? There was a pause. Then what happened? I told him. Every detail. The envelope. The handwriting. The message. Silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then. Don't touch anything else, he said. I'm coming over. He arrived fast. Faster than usual. That told me enough. He took the letter, examined it, flipped it over, checked the edges. No prints, he muttered. Or at least none we can see. You think it's real? I asked. He didn't answer immediately. I think, he said slowly, people like Lena don't operate alone unless they have to. My jaw tightened. The contractor. Already in custody, Garrett replied. And talking. Then who? He looked up at me. That's what we need to find out. The house felt different again. Not unsafe. But aware. Like something had shifted just enough to remind me we weren't completely done. Could it be a bluff? I asked. Maybe, Garrett said. But we don't treat it like one. I nodded. Of course we didn't. We couldn't. Not after everything. That night I didn't sleep. Not even a little. I sat in the living room, lights off, listening. Same as before. But different this time. Because now I wasn't reacting. I was waiting. And around 2:17 a.m. I heard it. Not inside the house. Outside. A faint sound. Like gravel shifting under weight. I didn't move right away. Just listened. Then. Another step. Slow. Careful. Someone was out there. I stood up quietly and moved toward the window, keeping to the shadows. The street was dim. Mostly empty. But near the edge of the yard. A figure. Standing still. Watching the house. My chest tightened. Not with fear. Recognition. Not of the person. But of the moment. The kind that changes everything. I reached for my phone slowly. Dialed Garrett. Didn't take my eyes off the window. He's here, I whispered. Who? Garrett asked instantly. I don't know, I said. But he's not lost. Silence. Then. Stay inside, Garrett said. I'm on my way. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. The figure didn't move. Didn't approach. Just stood there. Like he was waiting. For what, I didn't know. Minutes passed. Felt longer. Then. Headlights. Garrett's car turning onto the street. The moment the light hit the yard. The figure moved. Fast. Too fast. Gone into the shadows before I could even process it. Damn it, I muttered. Garrett pulled up hard and jumped out. Where, he asked. I pointed. There, he was right there. Garrett scanned the area, already moving, checking the side path, the fence line, the street. Nothing. No one. Just silence again. But not the same kind. This silence had something in it. Something watching. Garrett came back, shaking his head. Gone. I exhaled slowly. Yay. We stood there for a second. Both of us thinking the same thing. This wasn't random. This wasn't over. Garrett turned to me. That message, he said. It wasn't a warning. I looked at him. What was it? He held my gaze. It was a promise. I didn't respond right away. Because deep down, I already knew that. And as I looked out into the darkness again, I realized something I hadn't felt in months. Not fear. Not panic. Something sharper. Readiness. Because whoever was out there, whoever thought they were still part of this story, had just made the same mistake Lena did. They thought I was done fighting. And they were wrong. I nodded slowly, letting the weight of that realization sink. Garrett's eyes didn't leave mine. There was a tense calm in him, the kind that only comes from someone who has faced chaos before and survived it. Then we find them first, he said. Before they find you again. I swallowed hard. My throat was dry, but my voice came out steady. How? He pulled out his phone, thumbs flying over the screen. We start by tracing the letter. No stamp, no return address. It's a challenge, but not impossible. Whoever sent it left something behind, something digital, something they think we'll miss. I nodded again, more to steel myself than agreement. Every instinct in me screamed that this was bigger than before. Bigger, smarter, and more personal. While I do that, Garrett continued, you stay inside, lock every door, watch everything. I agreed, though my eyes were already on the dark yard outside. The faint moonlight glinting off the grass made it look almost peaceful. But I knew better now. Peace was a trap. That night passed in a tense blur. Every creak, every whisper of wind against the house made my pulse spike. I kept the blinds drawn, lights dim, ears straining for anything unusual. Quinn slept through it all, blissfully unaware of the storm that had quietly returned. By dawn, I was exhausted. But the letter and the figure in the yard had awakened something inside me. Not fear. Not hesitation. A need for action. Garrett called first thing in the morning. His voice was sharp, urgent. We've got something, he said. The envelope, the paper, it's custom-made, high-grade stationery, not mass-produced. Only a few places make it. One of them is local, and get this, the handwriting, it's familiar. I froze. Familiar how? Not yours, he clarified. Someone else's, someone who's been in your life before, closer than you realized. And they've been watching, probably longer than we thought. My stomach twisted. Lena had been meticulous, careful, almost untouchable. And now someone else. Someone worse. I needed to see the letter again. To touch it. To understand the tone, the intent. I dug it out from where I'd hidden it, careful not to smudge the edges, careful not to leave my own prints. You missed one. The words were simple. Almost casual. But now they carried a weight, a promise of unfinished business. Garrett's eyes narrowed when he read it over my shoulder. This is personal, he muttered. They know you, they know what will get your attention. I clenched my fists. Then they'll know the rest of the story too. We spent the day planning, mapping, and analyzing. Every possible lead Garrett could pull. And yet, every step felt like a trap, like someone was a few moves ahead, watching our reactions, anticipating our next decision. That evening, I couldn't stay put. I needed to see. To feel. To confront. I slipped out quietly, flashlight in hand, checking every shadow, every corner. The yard was empty. The street silent. Nothing moved at first. Then I heard it. A faint scrape against the fence. A breath in the dark. Someone was there. Watching. Waiting. This time I didn't flinch. I didn't panic. I stayed still, listening, reading, learning. And then from the shadows a voice, soft, familiar, chilling. You were always harder to reach than Lena thought. My heart skipped. Recognition slammed into me like a freight train. The voice was him. The one I never expected to hear again. The game had started. And now there was no turning back. I moved toward the shadows where the voice had come from, slow, careful, every sense on high alert. My hand stayed on the flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness, trembling slightly, not from fear but anticipation. "Show yourself," I said, voice steady. "I know you're there, whoever you are, it's over, we end this tonight." A laugh, low and deliberate. Cold. Familiar but warped, like someone I thought I knew had been twisted by obsession. "You really think it's that easy?" the figure replied, stepping into the faint moonlight. And then I saw him. Not Lena, not a contractor. It was someone from my past I never expected, someone I had trusted once, someone I thought I knew. Recognition hit me like ice. The anger, the betrayal, the danger, it all coalesced in a single sharp line. "You," I whispered. He smiled, calm, unnervingly calm. Surprised. I tightened my grip on the flashlight. Why all of this? Lena was finished, you were gone, why come back now?" "Because you missed one," he said, repeating the words from the letter, each syllable deliberate, heavy with meaning. "And I'm here to make sure you understand, unfinished business doesn't wait forever." Garrett appeared then, silently stepping out of the darkness behind me, gun drawn, eyes locked on the figure. "Step away from her," he said, voice low, controlled. The figure's eyes flicked to Garrett, then back to me. Ah, the faithful friend, always a step behind, always cleaning up my messes, but this is different. She's ready now. I realized then, the stalking, the letter, the nighttime watch, it wasn't just to scare me. It was to test me. To provoke me. To see if I had changed. "I've been ready," I said. My voice was sharper than I expected. "You think you control this story, but you don't, not anymore." He laughed again, a hollow, chilling sound. "We'll see." And just like that, the confrontation exploded. He lunged, fast, trained, unexpected. Garrett moved instantly, blocking, and the struggle became a blur of motion. Shadows, shouts, a flash of metal as a knife glinted in the moonlight. I ducked, rolled, grabbed a heavy object nearby, a brick, and swung. The figure staggered, a sharp curse escaping him. I felt the power of adrenaline, pure, raw. Every moment of preparation, every sleepless night, every fear-honed instinct, it all came together. Garrett shouted, "Now take him down." We moved in sync, fluid, unstoppable. The figure was good, but we were better. Faster. Smarter. And most importantly, determined. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he fell to the ground, breath ragged, defeated. Not dead, but immobilized. I stood over him, chest heaving, flashlight shaking in my grip. "You underestimated me," I said, voice low, deadly calm. "You thought I'd run, you thought I'd be afraid, but I wasn't, I'm done running." Garrett secured him, cuffs clicking into place. "It's over," he said. I didn't answer. I looked at the moonlit yard, at the quiet street that had once felt threatening. And for the first time in a long time, I felt it. Peace. Not the false kind that comes from ignorance. Not the fragile kind that shatters at the first sound. Real peace. Hard-earned and fiercely protected. Quinn would wake soon. The day would start. Life would go on. But I knew something else deep in my chest, a promise. No matter what tried to come back, no matter what shadows lingered, no matter what dangers waited in the dark, I would be ready. I was done being hunted. The story wasn't over. But I had taken back control. And this time it stayed that way.